Conservatives, one of the many organizations that have put together this event this evening. Thank you all for coming and happy Thai Pongal. Next, we have Right Honourable Oliver Dowden, Chairman of the Conservative Party and Cabinet Minister. Thank you.
Well, good evening everyone, and it's wonderful to be here. And isn't it wonderful to see cross-party support for the Tamil community? And of course I want to begin, like many other speakers here today, by saying how wonderful it is to join you here at the end of Thai Pongal as Tamils here in the United Kingdom and around the world celebrate a bountiful harvest and welcome in the new year. So happy new year to every one of you. And certainly, as we gather here to celebrate, I want to pay tribute to the British Tamil community, such an integral part of our national life. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for the hours of public service, the days, weeks and months of public service that you give. Thank you for that. Thank you for the thousands of jobs that your businesses create up and down the United Kingdom. And thank you for the billions of pounds that you invest in the United Kingdom that sustain our prosperity. Thank you for all that you do for us in the United Kingdom. And I also would like to say, I've seen during this crisis, during this terrible public health crisis, the sacrifice that has been made by so many members of the British Tamil community in our public services, particularly Tamil doctors, Tamil nurses, and don't we all owe our NHS that enormous debt of gratitude. I also want to thank my Conservative colleagues in the London Assembly, and indeed the whole of the London Assembly, for what they've done in declaring January as Tamil Heritage Month. And it really is to celebrate the Tamil language, the Tamil culture, the Tamil community, and to recognise the tremendous impacts that I've been describing that each and every one of you make in London, day in, day out. And the Tamil community is, of course, incredibly important to the Conservative Party, and I speak as a Conservative. I also speak as somebody who served alongside Ed Davey in the coalition government from 2010 to 2015, and I was David Cameron's Deputy Chief of Staff, Prime Minister David Cameron's Deputy Chief of Staff at the time. And all of you know how supportive David Cameron was of the Tamil community, and of course, you all well remember, and I will remember, that historic visit, the historic visit that he paid to Jaffna. And you'll remember that was the first visit by any major world leader, a truly groundbreaking event, and something that we as Conservatives are very, very proud of. That support for the community, of course, continues under me as Chairman of the Conservative Party and, of course, under our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. We, of course, remain steadfastly committed to promoting reconciliation, peace and justice around the world. But also because the Conservative Party and the Tamil community, I believe, are bound together by shared values. We believe in the family. We believe in hard work and aspiration. We believe in putting ourselves second to the needs of future generations, and that is the essence of the family, the essence of the community, the essence of those values that we hold together. Education, enterprise, Tamil values, British values, Conservative values. know that amongst the many groups that support the Conservative Party, the Conservative Tamil community really is, and I say this in all sincerity, it is genuinely the leading Conservative community. And I'll tell you why. Because I see it in the work we do, whether that's standing as candidates, whether that's involved in our associations, whether that's knocking on doors, delivering leaflets. And I'll tell you the evidence for me is when I look at the green benches of the Conservative Party. And I'll just read you a few of the names. Paul Scully, Elliot Coburn, Teresa Villiers, who sat here in the front row, one of good support of the community. Robert Halfon, Bob Blackman, Robert Buckland. None of them would be there on our green benches. And here is Paul Scully. He would not be on the green benches were it not for your hard work. And in fact, more than that, I would say in the case of Paul Scully, you literally speak the language of the electorate. You speak the language of Paul Scully's electorate, the second language in his constituency. So, as I finish these remarks, I want to say an enormous thank you for all that you do and wish every one of you a very happy New Year.
The political speeches, of course, and some actual entertainment. Is everybody enjoying their punk out? Next up, we have a friend of mine, Sudarshan Satyam Sudmar, a design engineer, qualified physics teacher, and a former Labour parliamentary aide. He was a writer to the Tamil Guardian newspaper and currently works as an advocacy officer for the People for Equality and Relief in Lanka. And Sudarshan is going to be sharing with us the contributions of British Tamils and achievements of British Tamils over the years. So put your hands together for Sudarshan.
Hi everyone, wow, the lights are bright. Can we get the slides up, please? Oh, sorry. Brilliant, yeah. So it's such an amazing privilege to be here with the community to celebrate Thai Pongal. Obviously, Thai Pongal is a secular harvest community that's extremely ancient, maybe over 2,000 to 5,000 years old. And it's great to see some MPs here with us as well to join in the celebrations and mark the passing of the London Assembly motion. So I'm just here just to speak a bit about the Tamil community. And actually what we found when we started looking at the data is actually it's really hard to find data on the Tamil community. But what's clear is whether it be in academia, the arts, the civil service, the engineering sector, the key worker sector, the healthcare, or the financial industry, there really are so many examples of excellence and inspiration. We can only really scratch the surface here. And what we did find is that it's important for our community to make sure that they identify themselves in the census. So last year there was a census campaign, or the Tamil census campaign, where we asked people to identify their ethnicity as Tamil. It's something that we wanted to take forward, going forward into future surveys that we do. Now, I think the slides still aren't coming up, but we're going to be able to fix that. So when it comes to the private business sector, the Tamil community really it does seem like they punch above their weight. So we've got a population of about 500,000 in the UK, and it's estimated by the Tamil Chamber of Business and Commerce that Tamil-owned businesses contribute about 50 billion to the GDP of the UK. Now, if you work it out as a percentage of our GDP, that's 2.5% of the GDP of the UK by a community that has a population of 0.008%. So it's actually quite phenomenal. And this ingenuity and entrepreneurship in the Tamil community is not something new. It's because a lot of them actually fled decades of discrimination in their home countries and really had to come and start fresh in this country here. But it's not only the private sector. When you look at the public sector, in the middle of COVID, in kind of the national British kind of battle against COVID, the Tamil community have really contributed in all aspects, whether it's from leading countrywide medical specialists, researchers that led the work on the AstraZeneca vaccine in Oxford, to frontline GPs, key workers, carers and nurses. The Tamil community has been fully involved in this historic battle against COVID. And we did have some stats, but the PowerPoint doesn't show it, but what initial stats find is actually 1 in 12 doctors in the NHS are actually Tamil. So that's 8% of NHS England's doctors. Doctors are Tamil, with a population of only 0.08%. But all of this doesn't really come as a surprise because from a young age, the Tamil community really emphasised the value of education and Tamil traditional arts, as you'll see during the process of today. There's so many ancient, historic Tamil traditional arts that children are encouraged to participate in. And that's why there's over 16 Tamil schools in London that teach Tamil and also the traditional arts. And it's not just the Tamil culture, even in high school, children really are excelling. And some stats that were pulled up on GCSE grades showed that the Tamil community actually had the second highest grade achievements in GCSEs across all of the United Kingdom in terms of non-English communities. And that's quite something actually. And that explains why we have so many people doing well in university. Oh, brilliant. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so next slide, please. So this education translates into children going to tertiary education. Now, what's inspirational about the Tamil community is the ability to balance both their British and their Tamil identities. So as they turn to young adults and head into tertiary education, as well as fully contributing to everything that's going on in university, we've actually found that they set up Tamil university societies all across the country. And in fact, there are actually over 25 Tamil student university societies in top Russell Group universities and tertiary education institutions. And what we did see actually is, after 2009, there's a sharp increase, or after the historic protests, the parliamentary protests of 2009, there's a sharp increase in the number of Tamil student societies that opened up in university. Now these societies, they engage in loads of different things. They have internal workshops where they talk about internal prejudices. They have workshops where they talk about barriers to entry in education and how they can help the younger community get into university. And also they just have kind of workshops where they do advocacy on human rights, about human rights issues that are going on in Sri Lanka or in Tamil Nadu. These are just a few pictures from that. However, it doesn't just end with the work. So these are like, these long-established Tamil societies over the last kind of 10 years have also held amazing charity fundraising shows where students from all across the country come and perform in a more contemporary British Tamil arts scene. And this is only growing year by year. I'm pretty sure they packed up the Happy Empire things last year. So as well as their socio-economic contributions to society, members of the Tamil community are increasingly becoming household members, household names, whether it be the hilarious Roma Shranganathan, who I'm sure Sundar is trying to mimic one day, or whether it be MIA. I think you need to click next on the slides for the other pictures to come up. Or whether it be MIA, the world famous pop star who literally performed at the Super Bowl in the US. She was from a council estate in Tooting. Or whether it be leading actors in the Netflix series Bridgerton, which just had a second season this year. And of course, whether it be the household newsreader names, whether it be George Alagaya, who wrote a book on Sri Lanka, Krishnan Gurumurthy. Next slide, please. So, I think you have to go, yeah. So, in light of all these achievements within the British society, there is something that makes the British Tamil community really unique. And it's the intrinsic link and historic link to the commitment for the rights and justice of their people. So we've got some pictures here from protests from the 70s and the 80s, and then from protests from 2009 when Tamils basically held, at the time, the longest ever historic protests outside of Parliament, where we saw over 100,000 people march through Parliament Square. And this is what the British Tamil community is about, I feel. Despite being an up-and-coming, well-to-do community, they've never left people behind. They've always linked up with their traditional homeland, whether it be in Tamil Nadu, whether it be in Tamils in Malaysia, or whether it be Tamils in the northeast of Sri Lanka. And they continue to work through a plethora of different organisations, hold fundraisers to contribute to charity efforts in the traditional homelands and in the UK. And whether it be through charity fund runs or donations to the NHS, raising funds to help recover from national disasters in Tamil Nadu and the northeast of Sri Lanka, And most importantly, what we've seen over the years is they do not shy away from the struggle for justice, for freedom, and for self-determination that their communities engaged in all around the world, especially with the ongoing struggle for Tamil rights in the northeast of Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Thanks. This program is constantly evolving, so I'd like to invite Paul Scully.
Welcome. It's a real pleasure to join you. Happy Tai Pongal. For those that don't know, I'm the Minister for London, I'm the Minister for Small Business, and I'm the former chairman of the Tamil APPG, so it's such a pleasure to join you. To see, I see Tony Devilish here and Nick Rogers that actually got the motion in the London Assembly for January to become Tamil Heritage Month. I think that was so powerful, and it's an absolute testament and recognition that we should be rightly celebrating the role of the Tamil community within right the way across London for the reasons that we've just heard. You know, it's not just in any single area. The Tamil community stretch into every area, whether it's entertainment, whether it's politics, whether it's business, whether it's campaigning and protesting, indeed. And it's the community benefits, the social benefits, the cultural benefits, as well as the economic benefits that the work of the Tamil community right the way across London really does help make London such a special place, and indeed across the UK and further around the world where the Tamil communities are burgeoning. Now, we've heard that Pongal is a Thanksgiving festival. It's giving thanks to the bountiful harvest. It's also, I understand, celebrates this on the first, held on the first day of the Tamil New Year as well, the first day of the first month, hence time, meaning January. So you get two celebrations for the price of one. You can actually doubly celebrate that New Year as well as that bountiful harvest. And I can see from this year how much the Pongal celebrations in London have been scaled up. It's like Pongal on steroids this year. It's so fantastic. That from small beginnings, the single event that I've been to every now and again, I think this is my third and I've got one more to go to later on, before Pongal events, and that's because you can't fit enough people celebrating in one room, and rightly should that be the case. But I know that Pongal is also about bringing people together, it's about bringing family get-togethers, it's about reunions, and boy isn't it about time we came together. It's not the same doing this on Zoom, doing this on Teams. For me, I always called myself the Minister for Small Business rather than the Small Business Minister, as you'll see at 5'7". One advantage of Zoom and Teams, we're the same height on them. But nonetheless, it's fantastic that we can come together and spend a little bit of time actually having these chance conversations, eating the food, whether it's that sweet Pongal, that lovely Pongal dish, or whether it's other sweetmeats and treats that we bring together. Food always brings us together. So I know, as well as the New Year, Pongal gives you new opportunities. I am looking forward to working with you for the new opportunities, not just to reach out to get that justice and reconciliation that many of us have been looking for in Sri Lanka, for the Sri Lankan Tamils amongst you, but also opportunities to refresh and recover in this country as we work beyond COVID, get vaccinated, get boosted, get our economy back open and running, allow families to come back together again. That's what we're all looking forward to in 2022. So let's get together, let's bring our families together, let's get through the darkness of this winter and make sure that we can move together to the lightness of spring. Nandri, happy time.
முக்கியமா எங்கள் தமிழரை பல அமைப்புகளை இந்த இடத்துல உண்டாக்கொண்டு வந்திருக்கிறதே வெரி குட், அதே பெரிய விஷயம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பார்ட்டியா எல்லாம் கன்சர்வேட்டிவா இருக்கலாம், லேபரா இருக்கலாம், லிப்டமா இருக்கலாம், எல்லோரையும் ஒரு இடத்துல கொண்டு வந்திருக்கலாம். அது அதை விட நல்ல விஷயம். ஆகவே which is great. Let's celebrate the Thai Pongal and Heritage Month. Thank you.
வணக்கம் எல்லோருக்கும். இந்த முறை தமிழ் இந்த மாதம் லண்டன் அசம்பிளியால் ரெக்கக்னைஸ் பண்ணப்பட்டிருக்கின்றது. ஆனால் இது வந்து எல்லா கவுன்சிலாலையும் ரெக்கக்னைஸ் பண்ணப்பட வேண்டும். இந்த இதை வந்து அதோட வந்து ஒவ்வொரு பள்ளிக்கூடத்திலையும் எங்களுடைய கல்ச்சர் எப்படி பிளாக் ஹிஸ்ட்ரி மந்த் எப்படி நடக்கின்றதோ அது மாதிரி பிளாக் ஹிஸ்ட்ரி மந்த் மாதிரி எங்களுடைய தமிழ் ஹெரிட்டேஜ் மந்த் வந்து எல்லா பள்ளிக்கூடங்களிலேயும் கொண்டு போகப்பட வேண்டும். அதன் மூலமாகத்தான் எங்கள் பிள்ளைகளுக்கு கூட நாங்கள் எங்களுடைய வீட்டை படிப்பிச்சாலும் கூட தமிழ் பள்ளிக்கூடங்களை படிப்பிச்சாலும் கூட இதை கொண்டு போகணும். அப்போ அதை கொண்டு வர்றதுக்கான அந்த முயற்சிகளை தமிழ் கம்யூனிட்டி இந்த சந்தர்ப்பத்தை பாவித்து செய்ய வேண்டும் என்று கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம்.
Thank you. Performance on violin we have Ajanthan Jayakumar. Ajanthan Jayakumar is a medical student who started his musical journey at the age of 7 under the instruction of Janadharan and Nagaraju. Ajanthan also completed his Anagatam in 2015. He also releases music covers on YouTube, showcasing his talent playing numerous instruments such as guitar and keyboard.
And on Virudangam, we have Arunam Jayakumar. Arunam Jayakumar started his musical career in Virudangam under the instruction of Bangalore R.N. Prakash at the age of 7 and completed his Aragatam in 2015. He is a Virudangam teacher at Edmonton Tamil School, Rishi Tamil School and Essex Society. He also goes under the name of Virudangam Machan on Instagram, and has weekly Virudangam covers to both Tamil and Western music. Outside of music, he has been a key member of the frontline staff during the pandemic.
Put your hands together.